Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text for Translation and Commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds he has already received a body which, although temporary is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. Purport: begging, borrowing and stealing to live for sense gratification is condemned in this verse because such consciousness leads one to a dark, hellish condition. The four sinful activities are illicit sex, meat-eating, intoxication and gambling. These are the means by which one gets another material body that is full of miseries. In the Vedas it is said, Asango hiyayang purushaha. The living entity is not really connected with this material world, but due to his tendency to enjoy the material senses, he is put into the material condition. One should perfect his life by associating with devotees. He should not become further implicated in the material body. This verse was often quoted by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada from Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, the instructions of Rishabdev. There's nothing in this verse about prayojan tattva, about the ultimate goal of existence. But it tells us about our present state of existence. So indirectly, it tells us that our present existence is not what it should be. And Rishabdev makes what to most people would seem to be a shocking, sweeping, inaccurate statement. Of course, most people wouldn't even read this because they're mad. They're interested in sense gratification. They won't find sense gratification in the Bhagavatam, at least not in Srila Prabhupada's rendition of Bhagavatam. You might find sense gratification in other people. They take Bhagavatam as sense gratification because they don't know anything else but sense gratification. But most people not interested in philosophy at all, they're just interested in sense gratification. Even here in India, which was the distinguishing feature of traditional Indian culture, it's not the Kathakali dancing or the sambar and rasam. These are all the saris and dhotis. These are all features of traditional Indian culture. But the distinguishing feature is that the leaders of this culture have pointed out that this world is not our proper place. This world is a place of misery. We are meant for existence beyond birth and death. Of course, there were many religious cultures throughout the world. Nowadays, the culture, the dominating world culture is one of aham mameti, I, me and mine. Well, that's always the dominating culture, although that's mitigated by somewhat religious influences throughout the world, but gross heathenism. The goal of life, people never even heard the term the goal of life. But if at all they don't think about it, that's it. So they're just like animals living for sense gratification. Rishabdev says that this is mad. And actually it is. Because sense gratification brings happiness neither in this life nor in the future. And it blocks the path to our actual blissful life. I may say, well, how is it not giving happiness? Certainly it gives happiness. When I look at something I like to see, why do I like to see it? Because it gives me happiness. But this is not happiness. This is the interaction of the senses with the sense objects which gives some sense, brief, fleeting sensation which, due to our being divorced from our actual situation of happiness, we take to be happiness. That is called sangsparshata bhoga. Yehi sangsparshata. But about that, Krishna, Bhagavan, in Bhagavad-gita says, Yehi sangsparshata bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. We take it to be enjoyment, the interaction of the senses with the sense objects. But it's actually the cause of suffering. Dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya. Both in the beginning, middle and completed stages. It's simply a cause of suffering. There is some pleasure there, but it called planning it. First of all, there's thinking about it, then planning it, then doing it, and then suffering the consequences of it. But in all stages there's misery. Therefore, nateshu ramate buddhaha. An intelligent person does not take part in that. And why so is more explained here. That vikarma, the term is used here, particularly vikarma. There is sense gratification which accrues from punya karma, pious activities. That's also a cause of misery. But particularly sinful activities. Here Srila Prabhupada translates vikarma, interestingly, as sinful activities forbidden in the scriptures. Does that mean that there are some sinful activities which are not forbidden in the scriptures? The scriptures, they promote sinful activities, yes. What goes under the heading of punya karma, that's also sinful in the most basic understanding of this term, inasmuch as anything that is not done simply for the pleasure of Krishna, it may be called punya karma, but it has the seed of sin in it. It's sinful inasmuch as it's not meant for the pleasure of Krishna. And even though it may give some supposedly good result, like going to the heavenly planets, the seed of sinful desire, the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, that is sinful. And even though one may do so in a supposedly pious way, The very fact that one's intention is to enjoy this material world means that one will not remain pious. If you have the opportunity, if the opportunity arises to enjoy sense gratification without performing pious activities, one will be tempted to do so. Or even one will forget that you're supposed to follow scriptural injunctions and just do it if the opportunity arises. There are many cases recorded in Shastra. Indra, many cases of Indra behaving in a sinful manner, even though he has to perform 100 horse sacrifices to get the position of Indra, which means he has to do a lot of piety. Because a horse sacrifice isn't just a matter of getting a horse and killing it. But the whole atmosphere in the kingdom of the king who does that has to be pious. He has to control in such a way that people are not engaged in sinful activities. He has to foster Vedic culture so that there are Brahmins who can perform the sacrifice. It's not such an easy thing that you just pull over some donkey and chop its head off and that's a horse sacrifice. No. There's so many conditions. One has to, as a king, one has to foster complete piety. One has to cut out, literally, any sinful people. Or drive them away. So he has performed so much pious activities to become Indra, but then he himself engages in impious activities. There are so many examples. He didn't get those eyes all over his body for nothing. That's not something pious, that's a sign of some impiety. There are many, many examples of people who were engaged in pious activities according to scripture, but they fell away. In fact, many examples means every living being in this material world is an example, because everyone's been a Brahma at some time, an Indra, a demigod. Even the worm in stool was a demigod. Kabhu Dev, Kabhu Daita, Kabhu Das Prabhu. One is taking different positions in this material world due to sinful activities. But Vikarma, that especially suggests people who willfully perform sinful activities. Janiya Shuniya Bishakhan. They know it's wrong, but still they do it. They know I shouldn't do it, but still they do it. They know it will give a sinful reaction, but still they do it. There's so many times in Mahabharata we find Dhritarashtra being given good advice. He says, yes, I know what you say is right, but I'm overwhelmed by affection for my son. So knowingly he performed wrong activities. So such people are mad. And in the modern situation, people are mad in a different way. They don't know. Mostly they don't know. They don't know what is sinful and what is pious. At least in the Western world, you don't even hear these terms. You don't hear the word sin at all. And in modern India, I think also, people, they don't have much consciousness of this. Whereas previously, people were very afraid. It was difficult in Gujarat, so I heard, originally when these demoniac pesticides were being introduced, the farmers wouldn't use it. They said, we can't kill all the insects, that's sinful. And gradually they were convinced. And now you can't convince them not to use it. No one would consider selling a cow or a bull. You don't sell your mother and father. No, it's just normal. Everything's money, money, money. That's all. There's no consideration of punya and pap. So, in the Western countries, there's this one kind of what we would call Mayavad. Although it's not really a distinctive philosophical system, but these ideas are there that, well, whatever you do, it's similar to India, whatever you do, similar to Indian Mayavad, whatever you do, it's all okay, everything's good, whatever you feel like, everything's nice, as long as you don't do any harm to others. As long as you don't do any harm to others, you can do what you like. But they don't know that there are scriptural laws which say there are certain things that should be done and certain things that should not be done. In the modern age, at least in the Western world, people see nothing wrong in illicit sex as long as both partners are of a certain age and they agree, consensual. So it may be 2 men or 2 women. It may be both are married but not to each other. Or not married, neither are married. And it's not an issue that you have to get married, and once you're married you're supposed to have sexual relationships only with your marital partner. There's no such consideration, because it doesn't matter. What does it matter? These are all old rules, which people, they used to have such rules, but they're unnecessarily troublesome, people think. What's all the point of this marriage? It's nice, it's a nice idea. You dress up in some nice long white dress and go to a church and bells are ringing and it's sentimental, romantic. But there's no real meaning, there's no commitment, no such thing. Because sense gratification is the goal of life. They don't even know the term sense gratification. But they go on like that. And they think, well, this is alright, this is normal, this is the way things should be. And if anyone says something different, they point out that this is wrong, they are criticized. And mostly people don't think, they just follow. Like sheep, yadyadachrati shreshtas tatta devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadunavartate. Whatever the great people do, others follow. Of course, who's really great are those persons who teach us not to engage in sinful activities, but who are considered great, whether they're actually great in terms of good character, that's not considered. But somehow or other they're considered great people. And other people tend to follow what they do. And that's taken as the standard. Normal. It's all normal. There's this very strong tendency that we want to be like everyone else. If everyone starts dressing in a certain style, then if the majority of people suddenly start to dress in some particular style, then those who have not, they think, oh, I should do also. They don't ask why, what's the utility. They never ask. It's just This is how the fashion business works. They make someone somewhere designates that such and such is a fashion, and then they sell it, whatever it is, fashion shoes, fashion hairstyle, fashion dresses, and everyone follows. Gadale kaga. They're following like sheep. That's all. They don't think why. Well, everyone's doing it. And if you don't do it, they think, oh, you're stupid. Why? Well, everyone's doing it. Well, what if everyone's stupid? Then you get people who are trying to be different. I don't want to be the same as everyone else. I'll be different. But they come to the same thing, sense gratification in another way. No attempt to understand why. Everyone's doing it. People don't even think that other people are doing it, therefore I should do it. They don't even have that much thinking process. Just, they start to do it also. Srila Prabhupada told that story of one movie he'd seen where one man had sat down on a bench. He was at a party, dancing party. The man came outside and sat on a bench, and someone had, as a prank, they'd put some glue on that bench, so when he stood up, his coat tore. And he thought, well, what to do? It's a party, and how can I go in with this torn coat? Then he thought, it looks bad, okay, make it look really bad. And he ripped it more. And then he went back into the party and started dancing very vigorously, so that the torn part of the coat was flying here and there. And other people thought, oh, he's dancing vigorously, making a show of himself. That's the thing to do. So everyone else ripped their coat and started dancing vigorously. Because they thought, well, he's getting a lot of attention, seems to be the right thing to do, so I should do it also. Prabhupada said it was Charlie Chaplin, but is it? Well, there you go. I was following someone else's advice that it wasn't a Charlie Chaplin film, it was by someone else. Okay, Charlie Chaplin film. You all say, so I should believe you. Well, that's what I'm talking about. You shouldn't follow what everyone said, just because they say it. A similar example is that, what's that called in Bengal? Shara Chakre Bhagavan Hoilo Bhut. That a plot of, there's one man called Bhagavan. It's not actually Bhagavan. There are plenty of men called Bhagavan. So his friends played a trick on him. They all conspired to, the next day when they met Bhagavan, they'll all pretend that he's become a ghost. They'll behave with him like that. So generally people, they get up early in the morning and go for a little walk. So they see their friends, hello, how are you, good morning, all this kind of thing. So Bhagavan got up in the morning, went for his walk, saw a friend, Bhagavan's become a ghost, and ran away. Bhagavan thought, he's crazy. Then he met another friend, and the next friend also did the same thing. He thought, he's crazy too. Then he met another friend, and he did the same thing. He thought, what's going on here? They can't all be crazy. It doesn't seem like I'm a ghost. Hare Krishna. So this went on, and then he thought, oh, I became a ghost. I mean, everyone's saying it. I've become a ghost. There was no actual evidence that he'd become a ghost. His body was intact. He had no experience of dying. You have to die to become a ghost. But just because everyone said like that, he thought, I've become a ghost. So we're very much influenced by what people say and do, and therefore the whole culture, when it goes down, everyone goes down with it. It's something like this, many people are doing, and then everyone else thinks, well, I should do also. It's on that principle that here in India, politicians, they hire villagers to come to their political meetings. They pay them some money, give them some food, and they truck in people. 50 people in one truck. And they come in to the meeting, and there's a huge crowd of people at the meeting. So it looks like this politician is very popular. But no, it's all organized. They all just come, they get paid their money, and they go back. A few years ago, who is it? Some politician went to Dwarka. Was it Narendra Modi? One of them. So they brought in so many people, and all the people went to take darshan of Dwarkadish. They didn't go to the political meeting. Maybe they went to the political meeting also. But they thought it's very good. We get paid, and it was reported in the paper, most of the people went to the temple of Dwarkadish. Because you can't control the people once they've come. So there are huge crowds. The priest was saying bigger crowds even than at Janmashtami we got. So maybe the Christians, they do that also. They have these huge rallies. Are they doing it like, are people so eager? They're really hundreds and thousands of people eager to go? Or are they just trucking in some villages? I don't know. It's all money. They get maybe 100 rupees for coming. Maybe if they take 10,000 rupees, then you have to become a Christian. Then you get paid 10,000 rupees or something. One chicken every Sunday or something like this. So what a situation. People will change their religions, what they call change their religion. Because you get some money. You get some money for doing so. And the fact that by becoming a Christian and eating beef and all this kind of thing, according to what they call Hindu Shastra, you go to hell. They don't care about that. It means they don't really believe anything. They just believe in money, that's all. Then they can convert back, and then they can every year they can become a Christian in a different church and get paid every time. Maybe better not say that too loud, they might start doing it. Maybe they're already doing it. What do they care? As long as we saved more souls. What is your technique for saving these souls for Jesus? 2,000 crore a year. That's our technique. Or whatever it is. So people are no thoughtfulness, no discrimination. Everyone's doing it, so we should do it. That's all. No principles. And you will go to hell. Well, all my relatives are going to hell also. All my friends are going to hell. So we'll all be in hell together. Extremely foolish civilization. And how to point it out to people. They're so foolish that even if you point out and tell them, look, you're not happy in this sense gratification now, and you have to suffer in future, they don't care. Well, I'm not happy, but anyway, we're trying to be happy. If I get more money, always they're thinking, I'll become happy, but they're not happy. But still they won't want to take to Krishna consciousness because what will everyone think? You're saying you're happy, but I don't think you're happy getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Where's the happy? I'm happy sleeping as long as I can. They don't think, where's the happiness? What is the happiness in sleeping? They don't think. Thinking is banned. So then it's animal life. What can you do to help such people? They're so far away from the actual understanding of what we're supposed to be doing in this world. Just like animals or worse. So what to do? Of course, there are many temples, churches, mosques. You may say Vedic culture is a lie, but what is that? Is that the most popular facet of Vedic culture nowadays is this Sai Baba. Seems to be. But what is this nonsense? No teachings. No teachings whatsoever. Even if people get a guru, so-called, they never have the idea that the guru is supposed to teach you something. And you're supposed to follow something. There's no such idea. Just the guru is just there and gives blessings. That's all. And blessings means for sense gratification. And even so-called spiritual, just the guru blesses you. That's all. You don't have to do you don't have to try hard, do sadhana, follow principles. Well, some principles, but the 4 regulated principles. But you can just water them down a little bit. So, we follow 4 principles. Yeah, we follow. But just follow. Just like we can eat here and there, any restaurant, as long as it says vegetarian. We don't care who's cooking. Take the onions out of the sabji. They're also good for health. So maybe we should take that also. And so excuses, making excuses. And blessings, just blessings. The people are not serious. They're because they're mad. Pramata. Pramata means very mad. Not just mad, but very mad. Mata, unmata, pramata. Extremely insane. Not just partially insane, but extremely. Why are they living like this? They don't see any happiness all around them. This whole civilization, so-called, they're not at all happy. They know they've got millions of problems, but they never think that we're in need of a radical change. The oil's running out. Okay, go and bomb someone and take their oil from them. Oh, the oil's right. Now we made a new system to extract it from shale, which is going to mess up the environment even much more than oil extraction. But anyway, we have to have our cars and everything else. Even these so-called alternative green people, they never think that, well, we don't need oil, we don't at all. They talk about green fuel, because if it gives out less poison than the standard fuel, they call it ecologically friendly. It doesn't poison as much as the other fuel. But you don't need all of them. We don't need oil-run civilization. People are mad. They think we have to have this. But the actual result is that people become more and more into the lower modes of nature. That's the factual result of this so-called advanced civilization based on sense gratification. People get worse and worse and lower, and they can't imagine living without oil, electricity, and they take it as normal that here we are sitting here getting... Do you all realize that your body is getting physically poisoned right now by the fumes coming off the street? Normal. What can you do? You see there's one school bus taking all the kids off to the slaughterhouse to get brainwashed and taking the kids off to slaughter and poisoning us at the same time. So, this is called civilization. Those who are living in our... noise, all this noise, this is just considered normal. Traffic noise. Those who are living in this Avanti ashram or whatever, you told me, when they go to the city, they were used to that life all their life, but now they don't want it. Horrible, they're thinking. There's no electricity, no cars, and when they go to the city, noisy, polluted, people running around with this tense look on everyone's face. What people take as normal, when devotees start to live an actually normal life in which you live peacefully with no cars or electricity and your whole life is centered around Krishna consciousness, then you can see very plainly, if you have to go to the hell called the city, you can see it's just like hell, horrible. This hellish consciousness by which people are all struggling to make themselves better than others, or at least just to get enough poisoned food to put in their body, to make some fuel to run it on, and in the meantime more poison goes in, because all the food is poisoned. To eat food nowadays means to take poison with it. So it's a horrible situation, hellish situation they've made, and they think that it's normal, and if you don't do that, there's something wrong with you. If you're not mad, then you're mad. If you don't act in a manner which is in every way, even materially, against your own self-interest, then you're crazy. It's a madhouse. In the madhouse, if you don't act mad, they think you're crazy. That's the whole modern world. Therefore, Prabhupada quoted this verse often to give a clear understanding. We shouldn't be bewildered and think that actually these people are very nice and very good. And I see all kinds of insane things written by devotees, which is the Hindu view on the killing in the school on dandavats.com. First of all, what's this Hindu thing? That's another insanity. What's all this talk of Hindu? Hindu means you're going to get born again. If you think I'm a Hindu, that means you're identifying in terms of some material designation. And one has to get born again for considering oneself, identifying in terms of the body and the identification that goes with it. Then a Hindu view. And yes, and then you get all these words like compassion and all these things with no understanding of the actual situation, that kids are getting shot in schools because the animals are getting shot in the slaughterhouses. I mean the animal slaughterhouses, not the slaughterhouse which is the school. Because the whole society is based on violence and exploitation, then people become literally mad, so they pull out a gun and kill a bunch of kids. and we feel we're very sorry. Then if we say like that, well, everyone says that, then what have we got? What is our message? It's just the same. You could just change it and be a Christian. In the name of Jesus, we say, we're sorry that this happened. They've got no solution. We have the solution for this insanity. Insanity that it's becoming a normal thing in America that someone goes into a school and shoots a bunch of kids dead. We have the solution. The solution is close your slaughterhouses. Stop sinful activity. Chant Hare Krishna. Make the goal of your life not sense gratification, but understanding who is God, who is Krishna. We are meant to serve Him. But people, they don't want. They want the kingdom of God without God. We'll make some new laws to make stricter gun control. So that's not going to stop kids being shot in schools. You can't, by making different, they think we'll make some new laws. We'll make some new commission to investigate the problem, and then we'll solve it. Just like, fortunately for America, there was a gang rape in which a girl was killed in Delhi shortly after the latest shooting in the school. And then all they put in the news for days and days was a gang rape in Delhi, and completely forgot the shooting in the school, which was much worse. And then they made an investigation, and Justice Verma has made some recommendations. And that's going to solve the problems? Rascals. Fools. They think we've made some investigation and we've made some recommendations and that will solve the problem. Actually, what many people said is quite pertinent. That, well, why should girls go out at night anyway and be drunk? No, you shouldn't say that. Women should have complete freedom to do whatever they like. They should wander around the streets of Delhi at midnight. And you're just asking for trouble. It's good advice. Don't wander the streets at night. Why should they be? It's just that, will anyone complain that if there's rain and you tell people you should take an umbrella? Don't tell me what to do. It's good advice for your own benefit. But if you tell them don't wander the streets at night, alone or just with one companion. No, don't tell me what to do. So, people, they want gross sense gratification, and when the society becomes so mad that mass killing in a school or gang rape becomes common, and they think, what went wrong? Why don't people behave properly in a civilized way? You're not behaving in a civilized way at any point in time. So when the fever gets so high, then you start to think. You should have started to think before you made all your slaughterhouses. Why don't you think of that? The poor children are getting killed. What about all the poor animals? They also suffer. You're not thinking. What about all the Afghani children that have been killed by highly sophisticated weapons made in America? It's a good business for the weapons companies. Why don't they think of that? They're not much concerned about that. Insane society. How to make them sane? Very difficult task, no doubt. It's a difficult task. If they're so crazy that they don't even want to, they can't even see that our whole paradigm needs changing. It's not a matter of making a commission and making some adjustment. Tell the boys to be good. Okay, be good. What's that going to do? Don't rape anyone. They'll show all movies of rapes and then you don't do it. It's only in the movie. Such rascals. I mean, even this is not even spiritual knowledge which is being, it's just material knowledge. But they're so addicted to sense gratification. They cannot see what a hellish condition they're making. So what to do? It's a very difficult situation, no doubt. Well, we have to preach Krishna consciousness. What does Krishna want? What does Krishna say? Krishna, what do you care about Krishna for? Well, that's your problem, because you don't care about Krishna. That is the root of all the problems. That is the root of all sinful life. They don't care about Krishna. They just think, let us all live together happily. But they don't think you cannot live together happily. Whatever plans you make, you have to die. Then you get born in some other situation. I love my girlfriend, but you can't remain with your girlfriend forever. Nor will the reason that you love your girlfriend because she's beautiful remain. Within 20 years she won't be beautiful. That's the way it is. Your beautiful girlfriend, or even if you're pious enough to get married, your beautiful wife doesn't remain beautiful. It doesn't remain in the same. You have to die. Why don't you see this? So we have to point this out. We have to try and wake up these sleeping, this owl civilization. All the owls, they're committed not to see. You have to forcibly open their eyes. Tell them, if there's any intelligence left in them, you have to try and communicate this to them. You may say, what do you mean? We're intelligent. Otherwise, how could we have made such a civilization, such a sophisticated civilization? And you say, well, that is the sign that you're not intelligent, that you made this sophisticated civilization. That is the sign of your unintelligence. Intelligence, yes, but utilizing one's intelligence for the wrong purpose means that there's no basic intelligence. Misused intelligence. Yes, you've made such a complex or such advanced technology that you can, by technology you can kill all kinds of people and animals. And you can have cars going up and down the street. So this is utilization of intelligence in one way, but the very fact that the whole society is simply based on sense gratification without any care or without even thinking what will be the reactions for this, without even thinking what is the actual purpose of life, this indicates lack of basic intelligence. Now they have this siren. Srila Prabhupada used to, in 1966, in New York, he used to say all the time, day and night, you'll hear this siren. So that's there in New York City. Still, day and night, you'll hear the police siren or the ambulance siren, fire brigade siren. Now they have in India. Now we're becoming advanced. Siren going off means something seriously wrong has happened. But we've got it under control. We have the ambulance. And most of the time the ambulance is just sounding the siren to get the people out of the way in the traffic. That's all. There's nothing urgent. So all the time, our temple in San Diego, it's just close to the fire brigade. Yes, advanced civilization. So practically every half hour, you'll hear the sirens going off and the fire engine is coming out. So much. What is it? They're going again and again, and you think the fire engines will go out once every 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. Every half hour, I don't know what for. There can't be that many fires. Of course, they also go and cut dead bodies out of crashed cars, but there can't be that many at least in England. They used to do that when I was a kid. It's one of the jobs of firemen, is to cut dead bodies out of crashed cars. I don't know what they do. Practically every half hour. Advancement. They call it advancement. So we should be aware of this. As Srila Prabhupada made us aware of this. Srila Prabhupada often spoke about this. You wouldn't hear Srila Prabhupada giving some vague class on love, peace, compassion and all this garbage. Well, actually you would give love, but you tell what is actual love, what is actual compassion means to deliver people from this horrible situation that they've got themselves into. That was Srila Prabhupada's compassion, not blowing on a boil. We sympathize with you. You're suffering, we sympathize. We don't just sympathize, we cut the boil. That's actual sympathy. Or at least take you to a doctor who's competent to cut the boil. Just simply saying that, yes, we feel for you, we are united with you in your grief. We don't say that. Cut the boil. Cut it out. That means by giving the knowledge by which people can know how to get out of this suffering condition. So this verse is very important. If we ourselves start to think that the vikarmis, or the ordinary people who are engaged in sinful activities, they're nice, they're good, then that means we're mad also. If we don't understand through Shastra that everyone is in an extremely precarious situation, then we are also in an extremely precarious situation. That description is given here in this 5th canto of the person is running, being chased by a tiger, and he doesn't see there's a big chasm ahead, and he slips. And there's some tree growing at the side of the chasm with the root coming out, so he captures the root, catches a hold of the root, so he doesn't fall down. But he can't come up again because there's a tiger waiting to catch him. So he looks down. It's a long way to fall, but even if he survives, there's a poisonous snake waiting for him down there. Then he sees he's holding onto the root of the tree, but a rat is gnawing at the root. So very soon, anyway, he's going to fall down. In the meantime, he's panting like this, having just been running away. And from the tree, there's a beehive up above, and a drop of honey falls on his tongue. And he thinks, this is wonderful. This beautiful, sweet honey. And another second later, another drop falls. And he thinks, this is marvelous. I've got this superb, sweet honey falling on my tongue, and I don't even have to pay for it. Meantime, he's got no way to escape. Either he falls down anyway he's going to fall down. Or he goes up, he must die a horrible death. But in the meantime, the drops of honey are coming. Thinking, how nice. And if anyone comes and says, you're in a lot of trouble, chant Hare Krishna. Why should I chant Hare Krishna? These drops of honey are falling on my tongue. Why should I consider anything else? Now I'm happy. Your doom is ahead. But anyway, I'm happy now, so why bother? Mad. Simply mad. So don't be carried away by what everyone's doing. Well, everyone else is doing. Everyone else is working hard, going to the movies, having love affairs, going to church or the temple. I should also do just the same. What's this? Surrendering to Krishna. What's this? You go to the temple, that's all right. But this dedicating your whole life, why should you do that? Even their going to the temple is another facet of their madness. Because they think we'll get the blessings of God. Don't think too much about who, what, why, or God is. But anyway, God. Get some blessings. What for? For sense gratification. But the real blessings are to get Bhagavad-gita as it is, hammered into your head. You're getting all rascal, hogwash, forcibly hammered into your head. You must go to school and learn what we teach you, to be a rascal and a demon and go to hell. Otherwise, you're not normal. You have to get your university degree, and then you become prestigiously insane. So, there's so much rascal propaganda everywhere. We have to combat this by giving the message of Bhagavad-gita as it is. Let people take prasadam, hear the holy name, hear the message of Shastra. This is not our opinion or belief. It is a fact. It is an observable fact that every living being in this world is suffering. Why is that suffering? Because of a wrong conception of life. So Bhagavatam gives the right conception of life. That we should teach people. Any question about this? Yes. Some devotees are many years in the movement, but still they sympathize with such things as what? Raping? They sympathize with the gang rape? They talk in the same way as karmis. Well, I guess they never really joined the Hare Krishna movement. You could be there with body but not soul. It's difficult to understand now. Devotees who are chanting Hare Krishna and reading Prabhupada's books, and then they talk all nonsense, like you should vote for the Democrat Party and things like that. Very mundane outlook. Difficult to understand. Maya is very strong. We have gurukuls for children. People say they're good the devotees are good, but they're not good teachers. Well, if they're good devotees, that's the best qualification to be a good teacher, actually. They may not have studied the techniques of teaching so much. But on the other hand, it's not that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult to tell. In one way, it is difficult to deal with children. There is an art or a technique to that. But on the other hand, to communicate that you're not the body, we're eternal spirit soul, we're part and parcel of Krishna, we're meant for serving Krishna. It shouldn't be that difficult. The main thing is you have to believe it yourself and want to communicate it. So, in the modern age you have to go to university and all this to get trained how to teach. They're trying to work out all these psychological things. Understanding the psychology of children and all this kind of thing. Definitely some devotees will be better at that than others. Just like some devotees naturally means abilities acquired from previous lives or in this life. So someone will be better at kirtan techniques than others. Someone will be better at book distribution. Someone will be better at cooking. Someone will be better at teaching. So that's a consideration. But who's the best teacher? Someone who wins the All India Award as a teacher and teaches you nonsense, or someone who, from the karmi point of view, is not a very competent teacher, but they teach you what you really need to learn. That's up to you to see. Yeah. Who's a real Hare Krishna devotee? Real devotee means has no material desires, only desires to serve Krishna. That's all. No other desire than to serve Krishna as Krishna wants himself to be served. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.